Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. My name's Noah Floersch, and today I'm listening to my sophomore album, Noah. The first track, My Name, has a lot of really cool tidbits of information, so as we listen through all of these tracks, I'll be dropping little nuggets of knowledge on y'all. But let's get into it. First track, My Name. Now, right off the rip, I do have something to say. This opening section here with the banjo, it's actually it's a voice memo. It's myself playing the banjo, and the banjo was my first instrument. And as you listen to this introduction, not only to this song, but this introduction to the album, you'll hear the swell of other instruments joining in. And that's really not unlike how my music education kind of started. I began playing banjo in about 7th or 8th grade, and from there it was guitar and piano and ukulele, all of which I'm still pretty bad at. But this is a pretty easy song to play. Luckily I had Ross Grebe helping me build this track, and a high school choir, and a lot of other people. So let's get into it. Now, really quick, I want to note something, and you more musically savvy may have noticed this already, but there's an interesting time signature going on, or rather, I wouldn't say a time signature, but a missing beat. Let's see if you can find it. Did you spot it? Let me go back for you. So this introduction, and throughout the entire song, there's a missing beat on the first measure of every round. It goes like this. We're in 4/4, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Still 4. 2, 3. Interesting, right?
Is it as simple or a swivel? Is it simple as that? Do I give you just a little? Do I give it all back? A couple undercover lovers, but somebody is sad. And then another, and you wonder, was there ever a lie?
Now, these are really important lyrics, as they are the first lyrics in the album. So when I was writing this song, I knew that I wanted this song to hold sort of a special place within the album. I didn't know as I was writing it that it was going to be the first track, but I knew that I wanted it to be a culmination of sorts of the project as a whole. And the first lines, those opening lines, is it a cymbal or a swivel? Is it simple as that? Is in reference to what? The track title, My Name. My Name, Noah. And we dive into that further. This song is basically a genesis, not only for the album, but for my identity as a musician and as an artist. So you get these banjos, that the banjo voice memo at the beginning, and then it grows into this massive ensemble, and then it tightens back up, and it's saying, okay, well, here is our here and now. Here is our identity crisis. What is my name, and what does it mean? Here's who I was, here's who I am, and I'm confused. Let's keep going.
Smoke in the mirror, ghost in my ear. He looks just like me when it clears.
Who am I?
I dream of you most every night. I never got to ask you why. let's not pretend I'm set in ways. I dream of you most every time, like birth and death, but all in my head, that's N-O-A-H. I will become you in due time. Sometimes I heard you say it when I speak to them, it's N-O-A-H.
Now let's talk about that. One time, like birth and death, but all in my head. That's N-O-A-H. And that N-O-A-H, that's a recurring theme throughout this project. You'll see that pop up again because it's the name of the project and it's my name. Anyways, it works. My name is yours, my name is mine. And that ending is really interesting. It's an interesting choice for a couple of reasons. Within the track itself, you're shown who I was, you're shown who I am, and then this sort of, it ends in like this question, this area of uncertainty, this ba 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 ba, very inquisitive line there, and to me it serves two purposes. One, it's like and who are we going to be, but also it's the opening notes to the next song, Memoryology. On to track 2. This is Memoryology. Sounds like this.
Green grass when I come back. That's what he said before he left me. I'm running on empty. Cause I ain't got no gas. Gonna make up my past. A memoryology.
Alright, let's break that down. Green grass when I come back. That's what he said before he left me. I'm running on empty because I ain't got no gas. Gonna make up my past, my memoryology. What does that mean? Well, to me, it's a little throwback to mowing the lawn, but I have been asked by multiple people if it's about smoking marijuana. No, no, it's not. But it can be whatever you want it to be. That's how art works. So if that's what it is for you, fair enough.
Green grass when I come back. That's what he said before he left me. I'm running on empty. Cause I ain't got no gas. Gonna make up my past. A memoryology. Green grass when I come back. That's what he said before he left me.
I love this part. I love this round. I love how all of these melodic lines kind of intersect and interact with each other. It's really, really special.
Spent the last few nights alone, waiting on a call from you, but no call came through. What am I to do?
Okay, I have something to say here, and it's a production note. So while you have all of these interlapping melodies in this chorus here, your brain become so fogged and bogged down by all that's going on. To have that all cut out and to have these two really, really clear voices singing on opposite sides of the stereo, I think is a really, really cool choice. And I feel like it works really, really well. It's like suddenly the sky is opened and you're getting these beams of light right into your ear holes. Anyways, this next little sound is one of my favorites in the whole album.
If I lose you, I am done.
So sick.
And to give you back your gun, I don't think I need it anymore. So I'll throw it on the floor in disgust.
I'm just gonna let this next part rip.
And I will trust that
It
you
gets
will
so nuts.
find it there. That's what he said before he left me.
That moment there, that instrumental section is like a very, very special moment for me. The synth is one. It's just like a stock Logic synth, and it sounds so, so sick. I'm very proud of that one. So we all kind of know this song. If you know me and you know my music, you know this song. The third track on the album is Goes to Chicago. This song kind of came about in a pretty funny way. I had a lot of these songs for the album already written, and I knew that I wanted them to be a project. And so I was kind of writing songs pointed in that direction, pointed in this other group of songs. And that direction was like this Midwest surrealist vibe. And I was sitting down at the piano in my house, and I was there for a couple of hours and really nothing was coming to me. But I had the lid of the piano open and some mics inside because I was recording some other, I was actually recording Long Gone, which is a song we'll go over later on. And I noticed that inside of that lid there was an insignia. The piano's a Kimball, and they're made in Chicago. And so there's this insignia on the inside of the lid that says Made in Chicago. And that kind of sparked the idea for She's the Ghost of Chicago. And so I wrote the chorus first, and then I wrote 2 verses, and then I posted a snippet of it, and it went absolutely crazy. So thank you all so much for that. Anyways, here's Ghost of Chicago.
I was never looking for her till I found her. Now I find her everywhere. She's always there. See her in my morning coffee, glaring at me through the glassy surface there. The way she stared. She's the ghost of Chicago. She got lost somehow. She gets married tomorrow. Oh, and I'm going down.
Oh, that was really unfortunate. Into the second verse, I did want to pause because there's a story to tell. So the second verse gives us the introduction to the trumpet. So there's a really, really wild story with how trumpet ended up on this song. So as you remember, I posted that video of this song on March 12th, and it kind of started blowing up immediately. I think that was due to watch time, and because I play that intro so slow to fast, I think that was really compelling for a lot of people, and so they stuck around and watched. I didn't do that for watch time purposes. That was definitely an artistic decision that just happened to be marketable. But that first night, I was laying down in my bed, just like watching the numbers go crazy on this video, like kind of freaking out. And I checked the duets, and this gal, Allie, who plays trumpet, had duetted it with these really, really beautiful lines. And her video also ended up going like crazy viral. I'm sure it has like a million some likes now at some point. But people started referring to her video and referring to her as like Trumpet Girl. And I remember after seeing the duet, I was like, oh man, that would be so cool to like get some trumpet on this. But then like these masses of people were like, you have to have Trumpet Girl on, you have to have Trumpet Girl on. And at that point, I didn't want to seem like I was giving into the pressure of the public or something, so I was like, no, it's more artistic not to, in my mind, for like half a day. And then I was like, no, forget that, I want trumpet on here. She should be the one to be recording these trumpet parts. And so I hit her up, and she was more than happy to do it. And so she laid down some pretty iconic lines in the second verse. So shout out Allie. Here we go.
There she is again beside the fountain, looking out upon the people here. It's awfully clear she's haunting me, and honestly I'm honored to be haunted by the likes of she. Lucky me. She's the ghost of Chicago. She got lost somehow. She gets married tomorrow. Oh, and go.
A moment to note. So this was as far as I had gotten into the song, writing it, when I posted that snippet. And so I still had a bridge to write and an end to write. At this point, the song's only 1 minute and 30 seconds long. So that's the amount of song that I had written when it went like crazy viral. So the next day, so I posted that Sunday. The next day on Monday, I like knew I had to finish the song so that we could start producing it and get it out as quickly as possible. And at that point, like, man, the pressure was on to write like a really, really good bridge. And so I was looking around for inspiration and couldn't really find anything locally, but I knew that, Chicago's on the water, and I knew that I was singing about a ghost lady, and so I was like, maybe she drowned in the water. And I was like, well, you know who else is drowned in the water in song? Clementine from the Oh My Darling, Oh My Darling. Not a lot of people know this, but I think it's like the third verse of that song. It's like, ruby lips above the water, something something in the brine, and she drowns. All in all, I think I'm falling into love with afterlife. And after I wrote those two lines, I was like, well, that's good enough to say twice, so I did that. And that's how the bridge exists now. Let's listen to it. Run it back. And then, of course, down chorus.
She's the ghost of Chicago. She got lost somehow. She gets married tomorrow.
Now this outro, slowly, you don't really notice it at first, but it slowly picks up tempo throughout, just like the beginning does. I thought that was a really fun thing to do. I think it'll also be so much fun to do live. Oh. Now, I have a few more things I want to say about that song. One, those changes in tempo, both at the beginning of the song and at the end of the song, ended up causing like some serious frustrations during the production process. We had this brilliant drummer come in, Sashan Orlovich, who actually, after we had him come in and lay down drums for Ghost of Chicago, we had him lay down drums for the rest of the album after how impressed myself and Ross Grebe, my producer, were with his work. So shout out Sashan, shout out Ross, but a really interesting factoid about Ghost of Chicago is that because we were dealing with all these super dynamic tempos at the beginning and at the end, it made locking to a grid very difficult on the production side. So a lot of producers will lock their drums in and just like the general beat to a grid, and we weren't really able to do that. So instead, we just locked a lot of the arrangement just to Sashan's drumming, and I think that ends up giving it like a really live feel, and it's something that we replicated a couple of different times throughout the album because of that. Anyways, that's enough about Ghost of Chicago. On to the fourth track of Noah. This is Silver Lining. This is another song that had a nice little viral moment on TikTok, and it's the video that I posted that like did well was all a cappella. I was just kind of explaining the song and then I sang it, and people really seemed to like it that way, and I really liked it that way. But I figured, that's it's 2023. People aren't going to listen to an all a cappella song. So I tried to arrange it a couple different times to different instrumentals, and nothing really worked. And so I was just like, screw it. We're gonna do an a cappella version. And I again went through like maybe 5 or 6 different versions of this a cappella rendition before I found an arrangement that like really I think did the lyrics and the melody justice. This isn't really a song that I want to interrupt, so I'm just going to preamble before and maybe say a little bit after, but I don't really want to split up because those empty spaces are really important in an a cappella arrangement. So we're just going to get into it. It's about a soldier lying down in the field of battle and looking up and seeing the smoke and the clouds and realizing that he is on his way out. It goes like this.
Once I was a soldier where upon a field of flame I lie awake and wounded there into the smoke I sang. Well, I'll see you in the line, the silver streak that sings across the sky, and you bleed out blue and white, spilling, seeping out on both your sides. 'Cause you're my silver lining, soul confiding, only bit of hope that I have left. So when I see you crying, God, I'm dying, oh, my blood is flowing out my chest. I wish you the best. My silver lining.
I don't really think that song ever needs to exist in any other way than how it exists. Just like that. Very special and important song to me. This next track, this is the fifth track on Noah. It's called I Will Always Find You. And this is, people ask me all the time, which they shouldn't, but people ask me all the time, what's your favorite song on the record? What's your favorite track on the record? And I'll always kind of give like a non-answer, like, no, they're my babies. but like gun to my head, I Will Always Find You is maybe my favorite track. It's the end of the A side. It's 8 minutes long. It's an absolute behemoth, and it came together in a really, really special way. So the middle section was actually written first, and it's a melody that I had when I was working at this ice facility. I was making ice, like a lot of ice, and I had this melody, and I hummed it into my voice memos on my phone, and I was like, that was sick. I'll do something with that later. And then I didn't for months and months and months, and I came back to it when I was looking around for ideas, and I made this really, really cool arrangement with a couple of the stock synthesizers and Logic and my vocals, and I was like, this is sick, and then I never did anything with it. And then the end section was written next, and it was an exercise with myself and Ross Grebe, where we were trying to do a lot of first instinct writing. A lot of this album is written with first instinct writing because I wanted to find ways that like inherently made this album me, and fill this album up with choices that only I would make. And I felt that like doing a lot of instinctual writing, as opposed to like a lot of like calculated writing, would bring that forth. And I think this song is a great example of that, especially at the end where me and Ross were throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall, and it became this very dark, this very scary thing. And I'll talk more about that as we get into that section. But finally, the first section was written as an exercise to see if I could write a Noah Floersch song that ended in such a dark space as the one that Ross and I had created. And then, as luck would have it, the middle section was in the same key and was the perfect segue between the two. So it ended up being this real Frankenstein of a song, and we'll listen to it and enjoy it together now. Before I press play, one more tidbit about the start here. This song, like my name, also starts with a voice memo. It's a dear friend of mine, Madeline Reddle. She's in my vocal jazz ensemble in college, and we were singing outside, and we were looking for the pitch. She was looking for the pitch, so you hear her asking for the pitch, which is the key was D, and this whole song is in the key of D. And I found this voice memo, and I figured what a great way to start this song. So it starts with her, and then you hear almost like an orchestral tuning around her as she fades out. Anyways, let's get into it.
Wait, what's the note?
And that's my jazz instructor, David Von Kampen, doing the kind of cool.
There was an energy about it. It was white like the top of a wave, and it was going down, down. She was reaching a subliminal state. And it was over in a moment. She looked around and said, where am I? I shook her by the shoulders and said over and over, it's been a long, long time. It's been a long, long, long time.
Now, something to say. This song is really, really cool in that it follows Ghost of Chicago and Silver Lining. And Ghost of Chicago kind of addresses the death of this woman, or, you know, whatever. I mean, you interpret it how you want to interpret it, but this is a fun line of interpretation in that you have the death of this woman and then the death of this man in Silver Lining. And then this first verse, actually both verses in I Will Always Find You, as well as the chorus, imply that they've reunited in the afterlife, which is kind of a very special thing. She said, how do we get here? I I don't know. We'll listen to it. But these next lines, I really, really want you to pay attention to, because it's very, very potent when you think about it like that. I pressed the wrong thing. That sucks. Hold on. You're gonna have to cut that for sure. Okay. Okay, let's get into it.
You know I'd come back 1,000 times to find you. There was an energy about it. It was over in a moment. It don't matter when or where they like to hide you. It doesn't matter where they hide you.
I will always find you. Very special.
There was an energy about it. It was over in a moment. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't matter where they hide you. You know that I will always find you.
Now imagine this verse in that context, that these lovers are finding each other.
She said, how do we get here? I said, don't even question it. Thanks for the reminder. She said, don't even mention it.
Some slide guitar. Ross Grieve, everybody.
I never knew there was an answer. I was phoning a friend. She said, cheers to new beginnings. I said, here's to the end. Here's to the end.
I love how this chorus just stops it all in its tracks.
You know I'd
Ugh,
come
that
back
kick drum.
1,000 times to find you. There was an energy about it. It was over.
And the snare.
It don't matter when
Oh,
or where they
so good.
like to hide you. It doesn't matter where they hide you. You know that I will always find you. She said, how did we get here?
I love this part.
I never knew there was an answer. It doesn't matter where they hide you. You know that I will always find you.
These are probably my best vocals on the whole album. These are probably my best vocals.
I will always find you. You know that, you know that I will always find you. I'll find you.
Ton of breaks. Here we go. What? I love this album is so acoustically driven, maybe aside from that Memoriology section, and this buzzy saw lead is just cutting through everything we've heard so far, just laser beaming through and saying, no, we got some other shit going on here too. So a lot of people, when they listen, when I show them, they're like, wow, those electric guitars sound really, really sick. That's actually my voice going, that I layered an amp into. Kind of cool. Obviously there's also guitar in here now, but that solo behind is crazy too. Very psychedelic section. Very Beatles-esque is what people say. Yeah, you're just supposed to close your eyes and nod to this part, basically. Now, that's Morse code. For the album title, Noah. That's Noah in Morse code. Now this is the section Ross and I wrote together. And we wrote this section when it became pretty clear that Russia was going to invade Ukraine. And it was a very scary time, and it was a very dark time. And we were just thinking about all that. And these are the lyrics we came up with. Hide inside, don't look outside. My God, it feels like war. That's what you're listening to here. I love that song. I love that song. One of my favorite moments in the album is the transition from this, the end of the A side, into the beginning of the B side. It's with the track that was the second single release. This is the sixth track on the album. It's called Thompson Station. And after such a terrifying ending to I Will Always Find You, this always cracks. So listen to this. Ah. Oh, we're safe. It's so sweet.
Don't know where we're going, following the sound. Keep your eyes wide open and windows down. I will run away with you 100,000 times before I live one life without you by my side. I will run away with you 100,000 times before I live one life without you by my side.
I also love that it almost sort of calls back to the I Will Always Find You chorus, in that it's talking all these numbers again. It's talking all these like oh, I will run away with you 100,000 times. Just like, shoot, how does it go? I'll come back 1,000 times to find you. It's the same sentiment being expressed just in a slightly different way. I think that's really, really cool. But also, I have a few more things I want to say about Thompson Station before we get into verse 2, where you actually hear the name Thompson Station. So I wrote this song with Ross Grebe and Clarence J. Now, Ross I've talked about a lot already. I keep yapping about him. He's my producer. He's my dear friend. But Clarence, you may not have heard of. Now, Clarence is also a dear friend of mine. And he is originally from Sri Lanka. He lived in Australia for a while, then LA. Now he's living in Nashville, and me and Ross have been friends with him for a little over a year and a half now. Oh, gosh, maybe almost coming on 2 years. That's crazy to think about. But himself, Clarence, myself, and Ross went and got lunch one day in this little town just south of Nashville called Thompson Station. And then about a week later, we got together to write, and we were writing a country song. It was going okay, and but we weren't crazy about it. And then Ross played that lick, that dun 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 dun, and we were like, let's do something with that. And we wrote this song in about 20 minutes. Anyways, let's get into verse 2.
There's no hesitations, fear or reservations. Drive to Thompson Station, catch that train. Let's go west and fake it, like we're movie making. Take each day and name it Saturday. I will run away with you 100,000 times before I live one life without you by my side. I will run away with you 100,000
Now, that being the case, you're at Thompson Station, you're on the train, you're headed west. Imagine this next section, this bridge. You're in the train car, you're in a room with this lover, and you're looking out the window.
Sunset sky and starry night, but you light up my room.
Very, very narrative.
Sunset sky and starry night, but you light up my
Chorus one more time.
And I will run away with you 100,000 times.
Those toms are sick.
Without you by my side. I will run away with you 100,000
This is Sean.
before I live one life without you by my side.
And just let this moment shine. Build it back up. Build it back up. This is gonna be crazy live too. I love moments like these where you strip it all away and then layer by layer you cut back in. I'm such a sucker for it. It works on me every time. And then a nice little outro for the people. Quick little note about that one before we move on. That very, very ending section where I'm yelling, "Go, go, go!" We had recorded it a little bit softer. I had done like falsetto, and it was like, oh, very sweet and very kind and very gentle. But it wasn't really driving the way we wanted it to drive. It didn't really push the way we wanted the outro to push. So I was like, Ross, let me just try and like scream it. And we did one take of it, and I screamed it, and I like totally nailed it. But it clipped like crazy. But listening back, we were just like, screw it. Like, the clipping sounds sick. So we just kept it. So, I don't know. I just think that's kind of a fun little moment here. This next song, our this is our 7th track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Thompson Station was our 6th track. Did I say that? Anyways, our 7th track is Little Crooked Creek. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. It's very slept on because there's like 4 lines of lyrics and then the rest is just vibes. And it was inspired by the drive, and I'll talk a little bit more about this drive, but there's this drive I make pretty often between Omaha, Nebraska, my hometown, and Nashville. And I couldn't tell you where I saw this sign, but it was a sign. It was on a bridge over a creek, and the creek was called Little Crooked Creek. And being a songwriter, I'm always looking for like, words and phrases and things that excite me that could be a song. And Little Crooked Creek just sounds so, Little Crooked Creek, it just sounds so like musical already, just saying it. And so I can't remember if I like voice memoed the words Little Crooked Creek or if I like typed them as I'm going 80 down the interstate. I can't remember what I did, but I locked it in somehow. And when I got home, I wrote a couple of lines, and I didn't want to write anymore. I just felt like I said what I wanted to say for this Little Crooked Creek. And so what I did was I built out this really, really pretty soundscape and just let it exist. And it's comparable to me. Like, this is a moment in the album where we've had so much happen already. We've had so much action. And this is really right in the middle of the album. It's such a breather. It's such a like, hey, slow down for a second, catch your breath. And that's what this song is for me. Here we go.
wanna see you in my dreams. Follow the little crooked creek. It takes you way out past the trees. Yes, you can follow it too. And then I wanna see you go.
All these little textures in here are really, really special to me. This is like the one song where I recorded all the instrumentation. And what I did was, just in my room, where I usually demo, I just really cranked the gain, so my mic was just picking up everything, and I played really, really soft. And that way, you're just filled with room noise and all this texture from the instruments being played. You like hear the fingers up and down the neck of all these instruments and on the strings themselves. I love how these feel like a wave. Now, take note, because a really, really special interplay between Little Crooked Creek and the next song, the 8th song on the album, Mississippi. Here's kind of a funny one. So the one, I guess like the lyrical space and the final line of Little Crooked Creek cuts off in a really, really abrupt way. We can actually go back, because I don't want you to kind of not understand what I'm talking about. So here we go. Strange, right? It sounds almost accidental. It wasn't. We did that on purpose, because that's how I wanted that section to end. But it's really, really cool the way that happens. And the opening lines to Mississippi are this: the station offered up a moment of silence over the radio. I couldn't handle it, the hum of the quiet, driving over the river alone. And I think that's really, really cool.
The station offered up a moment of silence over the radio. I couldn't handle it, the hum of the quiet, driving over the river alone. I get visited by vivid images where I'm living in a big unknown. I had to take it to the very beginning, and I figured that I should give it a go. Well, it's all my fault, Mississippi, in your arms, kiss me, kill me. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Well, it's all my fault, Mississippi.
Two things to say. One, you may have noticed that there's a voice that is not my own on that chorus. That's Veronica Stewart Frommer. She's a fantastic singer. She sings in the band Melt, who I'm such a big fan of, and so I'm such a big fan of hers. And you'll see she's actually going to be credited on the album and on this track, featured as Ron, R-O-N, because that is her solo project artist name. And man, she absolutely crushed this. You'll hear some more of her in all of these choruses as we go forward. But I also wanted to share some more context about the song itself. So when I was talking about Little Crooked Creek, I was talking about that drive from Omaha to Nashville. And this song is super, super specifically about that drive. And in the chorus, you're hearing this like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault." It's like, why does this guy feel so guilty? Well, making that drive from like Omaha to Nashville has always felt like super representative of me, like leaving my family and my friends and my loved ones behind to kind of pursue a kind of wild dream that is like to be a musical artist, and like the sacrifice that goes into that, and also like the guilt you have in leaving those people behind. Not that I'm never gonna see him again or anything, but it's still difficult. Anyways, this is verse 2. It talks about that a little bit more, and about the exact drive that I take back to Nashville.
Southeast to St. Louis, about an hour or two, and it's been raining like a hurricane. I wouldn't say that I was looking for you, but then I found you on the interstate. I took one look was all that I needed. I pleaded, come take my breath away. I never meant it, as a take it or leave it, but believe it, I'm always gonna say that it was all my fault. Mississippi, in your arms, kiss me, kill me. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. But all my
What do you do when you got a section that absolutely bangs? You do it again. So we just run this section back and do it bigger. Listen to her go. She goes crazy. Halftime. You do it 3 times, but different. It's all my fault, it's all my fault, it's all my fault, it's all my fault. You also have this cello that has like its emphasis in 3s, so you get this weird.
Oh my God, I'm
Kinda cool.
so sorry, but it's all my fault. Mississippi.
Kind of fun. Yeah, that was Mississippi. It used to be Mississippi Part 1, because there was a Mississippi Part 2. Mississippi Part 2 did not make the album. It's a beautiful, beautiful song, but it just kind of killed a lot of the momentum on the album. So rest in peace, Mississippi Part 2. Deluxe album? Who's to say? Who knows? maybe, I don't know. Anyways, this next song absolutely bangs. Needs no introduction, but I'm giving one anyways. Long Gone, the 9th track on the album, is probably the most fun song to play live. We're rehearsing with my band right now to do some release shows for this album, and this song has been such a blast to play with everybody for a couple of reasons. One, it's easy. It's like really, really easy. But 2, there's like still like interesting musical things going on. So I don't know. It just, as an instrumentalist and as a musician, I think it fills everybody in the band's bucket a little bit, because you get to do some weird stuff, but you get to do it all together. It's very theatrical. It's very fun, and it's about growing up and kind of seeing yourself separate from those who maybe you would associate with in your youth a little bit more. anyways, it goes like this.
Put yourself into my skin for a moment and give it back, 'cause my skeleton's showing I'm long gone, long gone.
I love the dynamics there.
Paramore troubadour, I'll be the token, yeah. There's the door, guess I'm leaving it open. I'm long gone, long gone. So don't wait up for me, I'm getting real lost. Don't know where I'm going, but I'm going on. I was a child when I first met you. You were sweet as could be, but that child is long gone, long.
It's so musical. This song should be in a musical.
Nowadays I go for things that are bitter. How you come around with your sugar, go figure. I'm long gone, long gone. So don't wait up for me, I'm getting real lost. Don't know where I'm going, but I'm going on.
I love this bridge. It's like the meanest part of this album, lyrically.
You don't know what you want anymore. You don't know what you need and what you need. Sure as hell isn't me. Come on.
Come on. Get serious. Get real. Yeah, right.
No, I'm long gone. Long gone.
Now, I love this section because I kind of have this melodic, floating vocal thing going on in the background while Ross does his guitar solo here. And initially, I was just laying down these vocals, these scratch vocals, as like a, we'll fill this in with something else later. And we put Ross's guitar solo in, and it just sounded so nice, them dancing together a little bit. So this is like me and Ross sharing a little moment together. Yeah. Piano and Mellotron on the way out. A funny thing we did with the piano in this is we recorded it twice and hard panned them left and right, so you have two takes going on at once. Kind of fun. Now this next track, boy, I could talk about. Hush! I could talk about for a really, really long time. Just because of what it means and what's going on in it. This is the 10th track, and it's called Woman. And you may be saying to yourself, well, no, if this album is like all about you and whatever, like why is this called Woman? And it's because women are really important to me, and they should be important to you too. And this particular song, I don't know, I think it just like accentuates some of the finer things about femininity, or just things that I appreciate. You know, it's particular to me. I'm not saying that this is like the all-encompassing song about women. That would be pretty presumptuous of me. But it's just, I don't know, it's an appreciation of the feminine in my book. And there's some really, really interesting instrumentation on here. And I'll pause throughout and we'll talk a little bit about it. But before we dive too deep in, I do want to shout out David Bezinin, who laid down saxophone on this. He absolutely knocked it out of the park with some of the work he did on this. So shout out David. This is Woman.
She cries like a cloud does.
Right there. We'll stop.
She
And we'll,
cried.
we'll stop and we'll talk about it.
She cries.
Because yeah, damn, let me just start that over.
She cries like a cloud does.
Okay, right there. We're going to talk about it right here. So yeah, you hear the sax, but underneath it, I also have some vocal parts where I'm going and I'm humming and giving, like, with these airy emphases at the beginning that like mimic the saxophone. And I actually laid these down before we even got saxophone on it, just because I knew that eventually I'd want saxophone on it, so I was kind of mimicking it with my mouth, and we ended up keeping it in just because it sounded cool. So there's these saxophone lines that are doubled by vocal lines, which is kind of interesting.
She rains down on me. No cover under eyes of thunder. I wonder how she sees. She speaks like the wind does.
Now there's some text painting going on here. She speaks like the wind does. And what is the instrument that's introduced? Flute, and I think oboe. We've got some like wind instruments, which is kind of fun.
She whispers to me.
Also, the bass is introduced.
Silent secret, swift and stinging, and steeped in honeybee. She dances like branches that swing.
So you'll notice some of the instrumentation has been pulled back. Like we lose some of that wind instrument because now we're expressing she dances like branches, and you hear these shakers come in that are kind of imitating, I don't know, branches rubbing up against each other. Kind of cool.
On a tree.
The melodica. Oof.
Willow swaying, spotted shading,
Harmony stacks.
covers all I need.
Saxophone.
She loves like a woman, and she's loving on me. I love that woman like a woman should and ought to be. I love that woman like a woman should and ought to be.
And a big exit, of course. And that final saxophone moment, when we brought David on, we gave him a couple lines, and we were like, hey, you have to, like, you have to play this part, you have to play this part, you have to play this part. And he was like, yeah, can I, like, just add some, like, stuff too? And so he had there were a couple different pockets in this song where we were like, oh, this thing that he also played is, like, really cool here, or this is really cool here. And this little, like saxophone moment here, that's just like a flurry of, like, expression. This we could not find a place for it for, like, the life of us, but I really, really wanted it in the song. So I was just like, just throw it at the end. And it's like now one of my favorite moments in the song, just because it's, I don't know, the song, you can feel it like dying out, and then it like very intentionally / unintentionally like rages against the dying of the light. It's such a funny little moment. Anyways, that was Woman. We're on to the penultimate song on the album. I'll never not use the word penultimate when I have the opportunity to. That means second to last, for those of you who don't own a dictionary. Why was that so shady? What was that? I don't know. This song is called Cup, and it's about self-sacrifice. This song has had a couple like nice little moments on like TikTok and on Instagram Reels, which is cool and nice, and I'll take that every day. But a weird thing that happens is like in the comments, for whatever reason, people keep trying to like rewrite the lyrics and be like, I'll fill your cup up, I'll fill your, or like whatever. And it's like, no, you're thinking about it all wrong. The cup in this song is not like a bucket that is filled, that like when it's filled it is joyful. The cup in this context is a burden. It is like something that you do not want to bear, but you have to bear. It's like self-sacrifice and service to others in a really people-pleasy way. Like that's how you should be thinking about cup as you listen to this song. There's a passage in the Bible. Again, I couldn't tell you the chapter, I couldn't tell you the verse, but I know it's in the Gospels, and it's when Jesus is in the garden, and it's the night before he is about to get killed, and he knows he's about to get killed, and he's like pretty bummed out, as you would be if you knew that the next day you were going to get killed. And so he's praying to his dad, who also happens to be God, and he's saying, hey, if you can, like, let this cup pass. Like, maybe if there's something you could do, like, maybe I don't have to die tomorrow. Maybe I don't have to bear this burden, this cup. And so think about cup in that way. Not saying I'm Jesus, I'm just using cup in the same way, that's all. But people say I look like him sometimes.
If ever I wrote a line crying for help, it's probably best if it's kept to myself. 'Cause everyone's got themselves personal hells. So why would I burden them with something else? Oh, give me your cup. I'll drink it all down, down, down. The 5 and dime down on 9th went up in flames. The people were looking for something to blame. And they called a big meeting, but nobody came. So they packed up
An interesting moment is, or an interesting thing is that we actually recorded this live. It's just the best way to get a good intimate take.
Hell, I'd burn down for you every day. And I'd burn so bright you'd look away. But I burn down for you every day. If I was smart, I would start saving my change. So one day I'll buy a big house on a lake, and I'd pour you the coffee each morning you wake. And we'd sit on the porch by the shore, and you'd say, give me your cup. I'll drink it all down, down, down.
I got really nothing else I want to say about that song. The final song on the album is a song called Open and Shut. And it came together in a really special way. I was messing around on the piano, and I started kind of doing this 2-note kind of drone pedal thing with, I think it's D flat and A flat, and I kind of just pivot between the two. And I started doing that, and I found this nice kind of motif from F to C and then F to B flat. And I kind of structured this thing with no lyrics, but I structured this song that I knew I wanted to sing in between each of those motifs. And so I got a nice voice memo of it so I could walk around and listen to it and try to come up with lyrics. And so I did that. I got a nice voice memo, and I walked around with that voice memo for a while, and I came up with some lyrics. And I ended up just going into Logic and taking that voice memo and building the song around it. So I used the original voice memo, and second take I assigned to like a vocoder, which is like autotune, but instead of a single line, you're assigning it basically harmonies or like a chord. So it's singing a full chord underneath our melody line. And it's really interesting because they're both very robotic sounding. I mean, you get autotune that's very robotic sounding, you get vocoder that's very robotic sounding. But to have these two takes right next to each other, you're given like a human feel within like the robotic sort of vibe. And I think that's really, really cool. So you have this voice memo and these two lines. And at that point I thought, well, that's pretty much it for the song. And so I bounced that out and I listened to it over and over again. And I was out and about and I was hiking, and I was listening to it over and over again on this hike. And a plane flew overhead. And the rumble of that plane flying overhead sounded really, really cool on the track. And so I finished up my hike and I went home and I opened up Logic and I searched around for something that could like imitate like the rumble of an airplane passing. And what I landed on was like the timpani. So I uploaded some like software timpani patch into Logic, and I played just like on my keyboard some timpani, which is just like the big orchestral drums, these big rumbling things. And you can hear them, but only if you're really looking for them. They're just sort of like a wave of energy that you get every now and again throughout the song. So keep your ear open for that. This is not one of those songs that I'm going to stop in between it all. I'm just going to let it run through. But that's Open and Shut. that was open and shut, and that all was Noah. Thank you for listening. That was like literally Omaha. That was crazy, actually. Okay, anyways.
That's Noah.